Good day, sir. I am Maxel Rani Kokotara from Santo Niño, Taliban, Bohol. I am a Visawa student, Visawa 3, Block 8. And now I am going to give my reflection about this video, which is by using PowerPoint presentation, how to do a proper thesis defense. So now I'm just going to play the video so that I can give my reflection.
And welcome back to my channel. Today's video I am going to discuss to you or to share to you the discussion on how to do a proper thesis defense using the right PowerPoint presentation. Writing a thesis is stressful, but preparing an overall defense can be even more painful. But it doesn't have to be. With proper preparation and a good presentation, you will be able to better equip yourself come time to present your thesis defense. But what makes a good thesis defense? A proper presentation helps you with your thesis defense because it helps you to capture the panel's attention and give you cues and reminders on what to say as well. It also keeps your data organized while visually looking good and provides a flow structure for the rest of your presentation. Now, what is a thesis defense? A thesis defense is composed of the two parts.
So my reflection about the thesis is it is not easy because you need to gather more information that is reliable because if because thesis is very difficult project as a student because you need to have a lot of mistakes so that your thesis should be approved by the panelist. So after making your thesis, the the panelists were going to ask you if what was the inside of your thesis. So you need to focus it by studying your thesis.
Thesis and a defense. Thesis represents a student's effective understanding of his or her program and major. Colleges and universities often include a thesis in every course as one of the final requirements to earn a particular graduate or postgraduate degree. Thesis, however, isn't just a mere requirement. It helps the students to grow out of their shell from their respective discipline or course and give them the opportunity to present all their findings of their study. Moreover, some people think a thesis is just a long essay or article, but it's not. Unlike an essay, a thesis needs to assert or prove something. This can be considered as one of the most crucial research documents which the students make during their academic schooling. On the other hand, a defense is the presentation of the pieces of evidence to support and prove your research. It's the most essential part of the thesis process. Your presentation has to be prepared to answer questions from members of the panel and any other panel present. And it's your job to convince them and defend your thesis with ample proof. Prior to presenting, you have to carefully determine what appropriate evidence should be presented before the panel, depending on what thesis you have to defend. Now, if your upcoming defense gives you pressure and uneasiness,
So my reflection about having oral defense is it is not easy because you need to answer the question of the panelists so that your thesis can be approved. And before you can answer that, you need to study it, your thesis. And most of having the thesis is being so nervous because as a student, it is not easy by facing those person who are having a high degree for you because you're just only a student. Then you're facing the having a power person, which is not necessarily. If you cannot answer, your thesis cannot be approved. That is why you need to study hard and be in your group so that you can complete it and answer the panelist questions.
Could be because you are not sure what to expect. I will dispel three common thesis defense myths or hearsays that will help you become more confident in your presentation. Okay, myth number one: answer all the questions correctly. Otherwise, your thesis won't get approved. You are expected to have a focus on your research. That being said, you have to study each part of your thesis, every detail, and every and even your sources. You have to study and practice how to deliver your presentation effectively. But don't overthink to the extent that you're stressing yourself to know everything perfectly. Don't overstress. If you cannot answer one of the questions, this doesn't necessarily mean the panel won't approve your thesis. You should know that research is a continuous study. So you should expect that your panel will always be able to find a gap in your study to fill in the future related researches. So in times you don't exactly know the answer, admit it, and you'll learn as they give their sides or suggestions. Making up an answer will only displease your panel, so it's better to be honest and transparent. Myth number two: the committee or panel is just there to find holes in your study. They don't care about you. One of the typical descriptions students have of the panel is that they just dare to poke holes in your thesis. Going in with this perspective makes standing before them a nerve wracking experience. Relax, they're not your enemy. In fact, they are there to help you polish your study. They might challenge you with difficult suggestions and tricky questions. In the end, they will walk you through the process to come up with better results that won't only benefit you but also your research. They care about you and your study, and they're ultimately there to make your thesis and the research better. So separate yourself from your work and look at it objectively, and don't take their comments personal. Myth number three: if your thesis defense isn't or is not successful, you have to start your thesis all over again. An unsuccessful defense is one of the worst case fears most students have. One thing that you should be aware of is that when you aren't able to please your panel, you don't need to start a new thesis again or go back at square one with your existing paper. It's unusual that your committee or panel will ask you to change your topic and start from scratch again. The fact that you've been permitted to defend your study, that means your research is almost complete. They might suggest further details or ask you for minor revisions, and that's normal. But overall, you need to go into this defense thinking that your presentation will be successful. Otherwise, you are already setting yourselves up for failure with the wrong mindset. Remember that positive thoughts attract positive results. Now, since the title of this video is how to do a proper thesis defense using the right PowerPoint presentation, I am going to delve into the presentation structure and slides content. Number one, the title page. This slide should contain the information that is provided on the title page of your hard copy. The title of your thesis or research paper, then your name, then where you are studying, then name and details of your course, and finally the name of your advisor. Number two, introduction. Your introduction slide should provide the panel an idea of the following. First, what is the topic area that you are investigating? Second, what are the specific research questions that you set out to answer? Third, why is this question important to answer? Fourth, what were the objectives of your research? So that is for the introduction. Number three, literature review. It's not necessary to cover everything that's currently understood in the available literature. You may want to present the following. First, relevant current research that is close to your topic. Second, different theories that may apply to your specific area of research. And third, areas of weakness that are currently highlighted. So that is for the literature review. Number four, methodology. Make sure to touch the factors below within your process. First, the type of study you have conducted, quantitative, quantitative, or mixed. Second, the methods that you choose and why. Third, details of the population, sampling methods, and other information. Fourth, provide information regarding how you have analyzed the data that you have collected. So that is for methodology. Number five, results. This part should give the panel a good understanding of what you've discovered during your research. It should cover the following. First, an overall description of the data that you collected during your research. Second, the results of the analysis that you have done on that data. Third, what were the most significant findings from your data? That is for the results slide. Number six, discussion. So in the slides for the discussion, highlight here the meaning of the findings in relation to your discipline, program, and the research that you have done. First, what are the major findings and what do they mean with regard to your research? Second, how do these findings relate to what others have found in the past? And third, how can you explain any unusual or surprising results? That is for the discussion. Number seven, conclusion. You have to end your presentation with a conclusion, summarizing all that you have found within your research. You need to first restate your research questions. Second, show how your results
Hindi, nice mo ko,
answer
ano
these questions.
Kaya
Third,
nag-screen record ko.
show what
Nag-call ka sa akong
contribution
thesis.
you have made. Fourth, state any limitations to the work you have done. Fifth, suggest future research. And sixth, make any recommendations. So those are the structure and slides content of your presentation from the title page, introduction, literature review, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion. So that's the last. Now, here are some tips during your oral defense. Number one, review your materials. Even if you already feel confident with your upcoming presentation, you still need to review your materials. You can bring the hard copy of your thesis with you during the defense, but you don't want.
So, as what the video said, there are the tips during the oral defense. So, review your materials. Of course, you need to review your materials because you are not memorizing your study, but you are just only familiarizing. So there are a chances that you forgot your topic, which is you were going to face your the panelist, that makes you forgot of what you were going to answer by the panelist. So you need to be ready by reviewing your materials, and you need to rehearse your presentation so that it is your it is your duty for you to being confident. But being confident is not necessarily, because there are some students like me that is being nervous if we are if I am going to face the panelist. That is why it is not easy as a student. Thesis is the very difficult or the very problematic problem in regards of the subject, because it is very crucial or being harmful if you cannot answer the question of the panelist. So be ready so that you can answer and study well about your thesis so that there is no problem.
To get lost with your presentation when you forgot some specific details and have to scan your papers. You should know your paper in and out. Second, rehearse your presentation. It's not wrong if it will sound like a script when you speak in your oral defense. It's expected and understandable. You need to practice your presentation, especially when there's a time restriction given to every presenter. You only need to prepare enough number of slides that would fit your time limit. 100 slides aren't suitable for a 15 to 20-minute presentation, nor 10 slides for an hour of defense. Your rehearsal will be more effective if you practice it in front of an audience. Number three,
Yeah, for you to having a effective discussion or effective preparation of your thesis, you need to deliver it by your classmates so that you are ready facing by the panelist. So it is your practice also that you won't you won't be you won't be stressful because you are confident enough to handle that situation if you are already in front of the panelist.
narrate the presentation of ideas. Regarding your slides, you don't have to include everything that's in your paper. You should narrow down your ideas to the main points and the most details or the most important details. If the panelists think you lack details or they want to hear a further explanation, they won't hesitate to ask you. Number 4, prepare for the unexpected questions. The panel tends to challenge the presenters, usually through some hard questions. Its aim is how well do you have done your research and how prepared you are. But as long as you know the ins and outs of your paper, you shouldn't lose your confidence, regardless of which questions they ask. Just keep in mind that what you're saying in your oral defense is not in conflict with what is written on the hard copy you provided them. Number 5. What to do when you don't know the answer. If the panel asks you a question and you don't know the answer, don't make up a baseless answer. Baseless means out of context answers or something without proof or backup. How Number 6, how to deal with the nervousness. The, the panel is expecting you to be nervous. Of course, it's normal. However, one effect of being nervous is the changes in your behavior. There's a tendency you will talk fast, that which will make it hard for the panel to understand you. It might also cause you to have a mental block. So try to slow down. Take a deep breath.
So, being a nervous facing the panelist, or there are there if you are going to have a mental block, so you need to relax yourself, even though you are the one who are asking. If you cannot answer the question of the panelist, so you should be honest. Or but when I was already experiencing that one, i I am able to answer the question, but it makes me nervous. That is why my talking that is why my conversation about the the answer is, it takes very fast talking because I am very nervous that time.
Hey, exhale.
Inhale.
Remember to breathe, or else you will die. It's okay for you to pause and it's okay to take your time. It's more important that the panel clearly understand what you are trying to articulate. So, now, here are more quick tips on how to present in your oral defense. Number 1, introduce yourself at the beginning. Number 2, introduce the title of the presentation. 3, don't read your notes if possible. 4, don't speak too fast. 5, put an emphasis on what you're saying so you don't sound like monotonous. 6, look at your advisor once in a while for possible signs. 7, stand on the right of the white screen if you are right-handed, so you can easily refer to the slide without giving your back to the committee or to the panel. 8, face the audience when you talk. 9, keep an eye contact. 10, make sure to keep attention to the reactions of the panel and don't forget to reach in turn. I hope you enjoyed this video. on how to do a proper thesis defense and how to best prepare for one using proven tips and techniques to help you get through this. Hopefully, after your defense, you will be set as one in your class to deliver an inspiring graduation speech for your peers. If you got value or if you got value for that, please remember share this video. Thank you and keep safe.
So that's all our video of, or that's all what I watched in the YouTube video of Sir Andre, which it gives me help or giving me a knowledge by knowing of what was I what I am going to do if I am going to in front or I'm going to deal in that situation, which is having an oral defense. So what should I do is I am going to relax, study hard, be a cooperative members with the group, or even you are one of the what should you are a assistant leader. You should be responsible by handling in that situation. So you need to deal with it without fears. And that's all. Thank you.